Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name's Morgan Colby. Rick Lemon is not with me. He has something doing. So he hopped off. We just recorded the first episode. He just hopped off. So welcome into the pod. I'm going to try to make this short and sweet and to the point on Thursday Night Football. It should be an interesting matchup, but I want to give you guys some valuable content to help you win your week and to help you at least get your week started right. You know what I'm saying? So before we jump into the Thursday Night Football preview, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below. So it's been an interesting season so far. We are just about, I want to say, 10 weeks into the NFL season. We are past the midway point. Your fantasy seasons, you have 5 weeks to go in the regular season for your fantasy league. So it's crunch time. It is crunch time for you to win some weeks. So today, I'm going to try to give you some advice on the Thursday Night Football game, try to break down this Panthers-Bears matchup, and give you some insights into who I'd play this week, who I wouldn't play this week, and see if things are going to be moving in the right direction. And hopefully I can give you some positive advice for this game. Like I said, it's Panthers at Bears, so this game is in Chicago. The Bears are the home team. The Panthers are the road team. And things are... This is probably, I would say, one of the most boring games that I've ever heard in my life. This is the Tankathon Bowl here, because if you can take a look at tankathon.com, I think is the website. Right now, they have, for the NFL, Arizona 1, Carolina 2, and Chicago 3 at 2-7. So Chicago is going to have a top pick in the NFL draft again. Carolina is going to have a top pick in the NFL draft again. So this could be if Arizona gets Kyler back, this could be for the first overall pick this game. I know there's a lot of season left to play. It's 7-8 weeks, but I think it's 8 weeks left. But this could be for the first overall pick here. Over under for this game is 40 points, so a little higher than last week, which is surprising. I will let you know in a second if Justin Fields is back for this game, because that would affect the over under. But for me, knowing this is Carolina and Bears, I might take the under on this game because I don't think these teams could reach 40. I know it's kind of low, but this could be like a freaking 17-10 slog that's 27 points. I don't think they reach 40. So I take the under. Currently on the season, Rick is 9-0 and I'm 6-3 in my pick, so it's done for me. Like, I don't have any more picks left in me that I can get. So I'm just going to try to not embarrass myself. But Rick and I will... Well, Rick's not here, so I'll give you Rick's pick. Second straight show, he's not here for this. But I'll give you Rick's pick, and then I'll give you my pick for the game when we're done breaking this down. But let's break this down and start with the Carolina Panthers and talk a little bit about that team. So they have not had a great season so far. They're 1-7 or 1-6, one of the two records. I don't even know, but they haven't been really good on the season. They're headed for a top pick in the draft. Bryce has been inconsistent at best. And so let's start with the quarterback position and start breaking this sucker down. Bryce Young, coming into this game, has not had a great season so far. C.J. Stroud clearly having a much better season than him. He's had some decent games, and he's thrown, this past week he had a 3-interception game. He's had, on the season so far, he has 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So he's struggling to start his NFL career. And there's been some games that you've been able to play him in. He had 23 points against Detroit. Or I should say 20 points against Detroit, and that's been about it. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to put Bryce Young in my lineups in this game. It'll be interesting to see how he plays and performs and watch Bryce Young live, but there's no reason for me at this point to start Bryce Young this week. The running back position has been crap as well. Coming into the season, you thought maybe Miles Sanders could be a good running back in fantasy football. He started the season with 11, 7, and 17. Since then, he's had 6, 1, 0, and 9. And while this is an easier matchup against Chicago, I don't want to start him this week. And the snap percentages for him have decreased as the weeks go on. So he had first 3 weeks, 57, 62, and 65. Now he's had 45, 46, missed a week, went on by. He had 18% against Houston, and they had 25 this past week. So it's increasing back up after his injury, but I just don't think he's going to be getting enough opportunity in this offense to be worthy of a start. I think it's too risky. As far as Chuba Hubbard is concerned, people have picked him up and added him, and if you need a start, and if he's still getting 15 to 20 touches, it might be okay against Chicago, but I'm really not interested in it either. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be high efficiency for either one of these guys. But if you needed to choose a running back for this week because of buys and different stuff like that, Chuba Hubbard's probably the guy that you want to start this week as opposed to Miles Sanders. So if you have Sanders, I'd sit him down. I don't think he's going to get the opportunity. And if you have Chuba Hubbard, he's okay to play this week. But if you have another option, I would go for that guy. Moving to the wide receiver position. Very interesting. So everyone after Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo can kind of go away. You have Chark and Terrace Marshall and some of these guys, but those guys just aren't going to have a lot of opportunity. So to me, I look at Jonathan Mingo and I look at Adam Thielen as the two guys. Jonathan Mingo is an interesting player. So I want to he's a guy that has gotten on a week-to-week basis more and more production. And, to me, not more and more production, more and more, I guess, snap percentage. He's been around 90% for the last 3 weeks, 93, 99, and 96, but he hasn't been getting any targets in this offense. So on the season, he's had somewhere in the vicinity of 38 targets. So he's not getting the target share that you would want to see from a rookie wide receiver. And you thought maybe, this end of season schedule would help him and that things would start turning around, but he just hasn't gotten it. So Mingo for me is a no-go for fantasy football, even as a deeper play and even against Chicago. I just don't see him as an option. Adam Thielen really at this point on this team is the only real fantasy asset you probably have to start. After his torrid start to the season, following the bye week in week 7, he had to start the season, he had 3. And then after that, he had 20, 31, 15, 27, 28. We were telling you to sell him. He had his bye week, and then he had 15 against Houston and 7 this week against Indianapolis. So things have started to come down a little bit for him, but I think in this game against Chicago on Thursday night, you have to start him because he has been that good on the season. So this is the only guy on the Panthers at this point, realistically, that I would truly trust to have a good week on Thursday Night Football. He's really the only offensive weapon that they realistically can use. At the tight end position, they have absolutely nothing that can be trusted. You know what I mean? So to me, I look at this and there's two guys that you could see on Carolina that would get an opportunity for targets and different things, and that's Chuba Hubbard, or just opportunity in game to score fantasy points. That would be Chuba Hubbard and Adam Thielen, but Thielen's the guy that I would definitely start. Hubbard only in the case of emergency. So Carolina's just not a good football team. You know what I mean? They run a lot of pass plays because they're always losing. So for the passing game, there's going to be opportunity for guys like Adam Thielen. But to me, it's just not a great look for this Carolina Panthers team. I would sit away from them and try to steer clear of some of the starts on that team besides Adam Thielen. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears, who do have some interesting players for fantasy football that people have been starting. Fields is a question this week. He was questioned to whether or not he was going to come back. He's still labeled as day-to-day. And Eberflus said that Fields' thumb was limited during Monday's walkthrough practice and he's basically considered day-to-day. So he's missed the last 3 games. But people anticipate that he's going to come back. If he is back, going up against Carolina is not a great spot for him. And I would honestly, like, even if he comes back and plays, I don't know that I would throw him out in this game, especially coming off injury. I might try to find another option for this week. And if he goes off, great. Then you know you have a quarterback who's going to be really good. But I don't know if I want to take the statistical risk of putting Justin Fields in your lineup on a Thursday night football game when he's coming off an injury and he's missed 3 weeks already against a team who's actually been, because of the way games have been, where you just blow out Carolina early. There just hasn't been a whole ton of passing opportunity. I just don't know if Fields is going to be a dude that's going to get a whole ton of fantasy points in fantasy football. So I look at Justin Fields and I feel like, maybe sit him this week against Carolina and then rest of season you can run with Justin Fields. I think you'll be fine with that. But to me, it's a risk if you put him out there. If you have to, because there's no other quarterback options, then maybe. But, I would sit him if he plays. Tyson Bagent is the only other guy that would be playing here if it wasn't for Fields. So Fields is Bagent's an interesting guy. There's no way in heck I would start him in any of my fantasy teams, even if I had him rostered. So he's going to stay out of my lineup. Fields being in the game does affect how I think other players could perform in this game. The Bears, I also believe, I don't know if he's going to play this week, but we got some news before the show that Khalil Herbert was cleared to practice and they designated him for return. I don't know if he's going to play this Thursday night, and there's no guarantee that he reclaims his starting role with the Chicago Bears. So if I have Khalil, even if he plays on Thursday, I'm probably holding him out for this week just to see what it looks like before I throw him in. Obviously, there's another situation for the Bears where it's like, if you have to throw him out there, then throw him out there. But as far as Khalil Herbert is concerned, him coming off IR is great news if you have him, but I don't know if they're going to give him a full lion's share of the carries and work as soon as he gets back, because Foreman has been okay, and you also have Roschon Johnson factored into that backfield. So I think there's definitely concerns for people in that aspect. If you have Foreman's getting a lot of opportunity, not a lot of fantasy points, so I would leave Foreman out of your lineup. He had 7, 33, 4, and 8, and now with Khalil Herbert possibly coming back, he wouldn't be a start. And then if you have Roschon, I'd keep Roschon out of your lineup entirely. Roschon's probably droppable at this point. I wouldn't start any Bears running backs either, just like I wouldn't start really a quarterback. Let's move to the wide receiver positions. They only got one guy, and it's DJ freaking Moore. Moore had 5 points this week. There's always, especially if Fields is playing, there's always a chance for a blow-up game for DJ Moore. There's always a chance for him to have a 20, 25-point performance and just absolutely shred fantasy football. So I would take the shot on DJ Moore this week and say, all right, we're going to stick you in the lineup. Hope you have a really good week and move forward with that. But other than that, I don't really know what the anticipated expectations are. I would start DJ Moore. Going up against Carolina, this is an easier matchup, but I think it really depends if Bagent's playing or not. Because if Bagent is playing, then I don't have high expectations for DJ Moore. If Justin Fields is playing, then the expectations increase a little bit. But DJ Moore definitely in a tougher spot here going up against Carolina. So I would say, obviously you're starting Carolina, but I don't anticipate DJ Moore having a massive performance. And then at tight end, you got a 23-point performance this week out of Cole Kmet. And Kmet's been interesting on a week-to-week basis in fantasy football. He's had, since week 4, 27, 15, 2, 0, 17, 23. And in fantasy football, I do want to pull up these numbers since week 4 at the tight end position. So weeks 4 to 9, he has been in PPR the number 3 tight end in fantasy football from weeks 4 to 9. And he did have that bust week, and he did have a 2-point game week 6, but he's also had some very, very good fantasy games, including this past week with 23.5. So to me, Cole Kmet might be an okay play. You know what I mean? But like I said, I don't know how much scoring offense is going to be happening in this game. So Cole Kmet could be a guy that, busts this week, doesn't have a great performance. I don't know, but he does get target share, and he has been decent on the season as a tight end overall. He's tight end 5 just on the season. He's a tight end 3 over the last 6 weeks. So I'll start him in this game against Carolina if you have him on your team, and roll with Cole Kmet going forward and see where it takes you. But if you get a bust week where he gets 0 catches, that's unfortunate. Kmet's a good player, though, and I think they'll probably target him this week, you hope. But outside of that, there's no other real Bears options for this game. They do have more reasonable guys to start than the Carolina Panthers do, but another bad football team. Like I said, this could be for the tank. This could be for the first overall selection. But let's talk about this game overall. And make some selections. So Rick took the Bears, and that's probably a smart pick because Carolina's been really, really, really bad on the season. I'm gonna take the Bears as well, and I think it's just at this point when you talk about two teams that are very similar, I think the Bears are a little bit more talented overall. They did add Montez Sweat. They just re-signed him to a contract. So he comes in and makes their defense just a little bit better. Justin Fields is a really good quarterback. And I think there's some good things for him, coming forward. And I think, there's opportunities for Justin Fields to have a lot of success coming into this game. If he comes in and he gets this football team to win, they could win a bunch of games, and they could actually go on a run here. But I think they're at home against Carolina, and I think they're a better football team than Carolina, and it'll probably end up being the Bears winning this game. But I expect a rock fight. I don't expect it to be high scoring, and I think not a lot of fantasy options for you guys, like I said. So that'll do it for the Thursday night preview. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Short, sweet, to the point. You get all your information. You get your starts and sets. You have a better shot betting on this game than you do rooting for your fantasy team because there's probably not a lot of fantasy assets. But enjoy the Thursday night football game. Play some bets. Take the under. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.